Get started. So find yourself on your back, knees face up toward the ceiling. Gently hug the shoulder blades together behind you. And allow the eyes to come to a close. Allow the breath just to be natural as you inhale and exhale. And I know we have some people on here this morning who at least haven't taken a Zoom class with me. Maybe you've taken one with someone else, but you can feel free to chat me if there's any audio issues or other issues going on, or if you just want to say hi. There's a chat button at the bottom. So feel free to use that. Otherwise, I will be doing the practice along with you, so you can just watch me. And always feel free to make your own modifications. So notice that natural inhale and exhale. Allow it to be easy in and out of the nose. And as you focus on the breath, see if you can relax through the body. Really allow the shoulders to melt into the mat and the head to be fully supported. Move the jaw gently from side to side to allow it to be unhinged. And as we focus on that natural inhale and exhale, coming to presence on the mat here, you'll likely notice that the breath is slowing down. If you're coming to the mat a little wound up this morning or with a lot on your mind, then maybe you intentionally slow down the breath by taking an inhale to the count of 4 and an exhale to the count of 4. And when you feel like your breath has slowed down even slightly, you can return to the natural inhale and exhale. And then begin to walk your feet toward the edge of your mat. So your feet are as wide as your mat. You can knock the knees in. And feel free to keep the eyes closed here or allow them to flutter open. And bring the arms out to a cactus beside you. As you inhale, bring the arms up and overhead so that the fingertips come together or close up above your head, keeping the backs of the arms on the ground, the shoulders nice and heavy. And as you exhale, bring the arms down along by the sides so that the elbows hug in toward the waist. Inhale the arms up overhead. And exhale the arms down by the waist. So keeping in full connection with the ground below you, sort of just dragging the arms up and down with the breath, gently moving the shoulders to open them up for the practice. And the next time the arms come up and overhead, just leave them there for a moment for a full round of breath. And then exhale to bring the elbows down by the waist. Stay there for a full round of breath. And then release the arms down by the sides and walk the feet back into hips width distance apart. Tuck the sacrum on the mat, so you're in full connection with the mat here. And then bring the legs up to 90 degrees. Once again, re-tucking so that you are in full connection with the mat. And bring the palms to the thighs. Press the thighs into the palms and the palms into the thighs. Finding this counter traction here, strength in both directions, and the sacrum is pushed down toward the mat. Feel slight engagement through the core. And then allow that strength to release. Maybe even coming back to that neutral spine. We'll do that one more time. So bring the palms into the thighs, thighs into the palms. Get rid of any curve in the spine and press the thighs and palms together, engaging the core. And then gently release. And bring the palms to face one another. Back to the biceps are on the mat. And lower the left toes down to the mat and re-tuck the sacrum. So lots of steps sort of to get here, but once you're there, that's great. So tuck that sacrum. You already should be feeling a little bit of an engagement through the core. And then we're just gonna slowly warm up the hip. So with the palms faced together, the right knee will come to the outside of the right wrist. And then sweep it to the inside of the right wrist. And tap the toes back on the mat, keeping that sacrum tucked. We'll do that a few more times. So bring the right leg back up to 90 degrees, engagement through the core, tap the knee to the outside of the right wrist, then to the inside of the right wrist, and back down, tapping the toes on the mat. Back up to 90 degrees with that right leg, tap it to the outside of the right wrist, to the inside of the right wrist, and back down to the mat. Take 2 more rounds of that at your own pace, being mindful to keep the sacrum tucked and core engaged. So it's just a slight rotation of the hip while we're keeping strength in other parts of the body. And once you finish, have both toes tapping on the mat. And bring both knees back up to 90 degrees. Mindfully tucking the sacrum if it isn't already. And then once again, bring the palms back to the thighs and find that engagement. Thighs press into palms, palms press into thighs. And then gently release. Palms come to face one another, sacrum is tucked. And this time the right toes go down to the mat. So this helps to keep some engagement through the core here rather than just having that foot flat. And we'll do the same movement on this side. So the left knee comes to the outside of the left wrist, inside of the left wrist, and tap back on the mat. Bring it back up to 90 degrees. Tap to the outside of the left wrist, inside of the left wrist, and tap the toes back on the mat. We'll take 3 more rounds. Tap to the outside, Tap to the inside and then tap the toes back on the mat. Is your sacrum tucked on the mat? Just check. And then last round at your own pace. Both toes are tapped toward the mat. Sacrum is tucked. And we'll take that move one more time where we bring the legs up to 90 degrees. This time, flex through the feet. Bring the palms into the thighs. Sacrum is tucked. Feel that strength through the core. And then release it back down. Soles of the feet come down to the mat. From here, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, finding that figure four here. We'll take some crunch and bridge movements here. As you inhale, press into the foot, arms come up and overhead. Find this figure four bridge. And as you exhale, slowly lower it back down. Arms can come down by the sides. If it feels too unstable to bring the arms up and overhead, feel free to keep the palms down on the mat. And then bring the arms behind the head, gently touching the fingertips, rising up into a figure four crunch. Exhale to release. Press into the foot. Arms come up and overhead, figure four bridge. Exhale to release. Fingertips behind the head, figure four crunch. Release the foot back to the mat, arms by the side. Press into the foot, rise up, figure four bridge. And then take 2 more rounds of this at your own pace. Feel free to hold any place that feels really good. I'm on my last crunch, but no rush to get anywhere. Feel free to take your time in finishing your round. And when you're done, bring your arms along by the sides. And then sweep them out into a cactus. Hug the shoulder blades together underneath the body. And then rock the right knee over toward the right, releasing that lower back. And getting a stretch in your left hip flexor. Inhale back to center, and we'll take that twist to the other side. So this time the right sole of the foot comes over toward the left. Gaze can go over toward the right. Come back to center and uncross the legs, and we'll move to the other side. So readjust as you need to. I need to retuck my back, my sacrum, and then cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Bring the arms down by the side. And as you inhale, press into the foot, rise up into figure four bridge. And exhale to lower down. Arms behind the head, fingertips behind the head, and come up into your figure four crunch. Strong through the belly. Lower it back down. Arms come down by the sides. Rise up into your figure four bridge. Exhale to lower down. Fingertips come behind the head for a crunch. Lower it down. Inhale to rise up into figure four bridge. And exhale to lower down. Find your figure four crunch. And take 2 more rounds at your own pace. I'm noticing how different the two sides of my body are feeling this morning. I'm feeling this much more on this side than I was on the other one. And that's okay. It's just something to notice without judgment. And when you're done with your 2 rounds, bring the arms out to cactus, no rush. And then open that left knee up toward the left. So you'll drop the left knee over toward the left. Gaze can go over toward the right. Once again, releasing through the lower back. Maybe feeling it through the right hip flexor or even through the left hip flexor. And come back through center. And rock that foot over to the right. Left sole of the foot finds the ground to the side. And gaze over toward the left shoulder. Come back to center. And uncross the legs. Draw the knees into the chest and rock and roll or move yourself all the way over into a tabletop position. So however you want to get there is fine with me. I'm going to rock and roll, cross my legs, and rise up into tabletop. Once you get into tabletop, take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze, and exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Just take a few rounds here. Stretching out the belly and then rounding through. Take one more full round and we'll meet back with a neutral spine. Maybe rock the hips from side to side and just check on your alignment here, making sure that the wrists are below the shoulders and that the knees are below the hips. And I'll face you this way and fix my ponytail. So from here, you'll sweep the right leg out to fire hydrant pose. And holding it here for 3 rounds of breath. And then lower it back down. Send the right leg long behind you, sticking on the same side. And then sweep it out to the side. So toes sweep along the ground. And then sweep them back and over, looking behind you. Sweep it out to the side. Gaze can sort of follow those toes. And then sweep it back behind. Out to the side. And back behind one more time. And then sweep the toes behind you. Come back into tabletop position. And from here, I'm going to give you a couple of options. So we're sticking on the right side. You can come up to your fingertips. This will give you a little bit more requirement of balance through the core and engagement through the core. Or if you're already feeling like you want to, you can come up into a plank pose. You might want to decide after I show you what we're going to do. So you're just going to sweep the right elbow up to the right knee up to the right elbow, cross it under to the left elbow, and then sweep it back behind 90 degrees. So sweep it over to the right elbow, left elbow, and sweep it behind. Right elbow, left elbow, and sweep it behind. Take 2 more. And then come back into your tabletop pose. Wherever you were, now palms are on the ground. And once again, I'm gonna face this way. Sweep that right leg out, sticking on the same side to fire hydrant pose once again. And then kick that leg out to the side and plant the right foot on the mat. Toes are facing forward. Walk yourself out so that you find a puppy dog pose. Forehead maybe comes to the ground in front of you. And then rise back up. Bring the palms back under the shoulders. And begin to bend through the right knee as you sit the hips back toward your left heel. And rise back forward. I'll show you this from the side too. So just moving with your breath as you bend that right knee, you sit back toward the heel. Maybe you don't touch the heel, that's fine. Still opening up the hips here. And one more time, sit back toward the heel. And then draw it forward. And bring that right leg back in, rock the hips from side to side. And we'll move to the other side. So this time we're using the left leg. Sweep that left leg out to the side for a fire hydrant pose. Holding here for 3 rounds of breath. And then drop it back down. Bring the toes out to the side, following the toes with your eyes. And then cross the toes behind. Just sweeping the toes from side to side, finding these crescent shapes in the center of the body, getting a little neck stretch in the process. One more time, sweep it out to the side and back around behind. And then come back to center, back to tabletop. And once again, on this side, options to come up onto the fingertips or to come all the way into plank. Bringing the left knee into the left elbow, over to the right elbow, and then back out to 90 degrees. So wherever you are, moving at your own pace and staying strong through the core as you do so. And then one last round. Wherever you are, we'll meet in that tabletop position, palms on the ground. Sweep that left leg out to the side in that fire hydrant pose. And then extend the leg long, planting the sole of the foot on the mat. And walk yourself out into puppy pose. Rise back up on the palms. Bring the hands once again below the shoulders. And as you exhale, you'll bend that left leg sitting back toward the right heel. And rise back up, re-straighten the left leg. Just finding this movement at your own pace. And take one more bend and straighten through the leg. And when you finish, draw that leg back into tabletop. Give the hips a little rock back and forth. And then extend the right leg long behind you. Strong through that leg. And then step it through in between your hands, finding a low lunge here. Maybe scooting that left knee back a little bit. Find your low lunge, whatever that means for you. Maybe you're up on blocks for a moment. Maybe you're more squared out. And then rise up, bringing the arms up and overhead. And options here, bring the hands out to cactus, or you can sweep the arms behind you, finding prayer pose in between your shoulder blades. And then we're gonna just take a few twists here. So wherever you are, cactus or prayer, we're gonna twist just through the belly over toward the right. And this is gonna be a small movement here, just through the core, opening up the shoulders toward the right. And then come back through center, small twist over toward the left. Come back through center, small twist over toward the right. Back through center and over toward the left. One more time to each side. Come back through center. And we'll meet back in the center. Sweep the arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, you're gonna bring your hands around your ankle, sort of in this circle. So your hands are not touching the ground. They're encircling your right ankle. Tuck the left toes and rise up on that left knee. So a little bit of balance here. Allow the right ankle to wobble if it's wobbling, and get strong through that left leg as the gaze goes gently down toward the mat to keep a long neck. Just a couple breaths here. And then press into the feet to rise up to high lunge. And exhale, reframe the right foot, plant the left palm, float the right arm up to the sky for a gentle twist. Exhale to reframe. And step back into plank pose. And drop the knees down to the mat, tabletop. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to round the spine, drop the head. Come back to neutral, and we'll move to the other side. So send the left leg long behind you. Get nice and strong through that leg, and then sweep it forward, finding your low lunge on this side. So readjust yourself however you need to. Maybe a blanket underneath your knee or folding your mat over if you have sensitive knees. Sweep the arms up and overhead. And then once again, either cactus or prayer hands behind your back. Maybe find the opposite one that you did last time, just to see how it feels different. And then we'll twist from side to side. So we'll twist over toward the left first, back through center, and over toward the right. Back through center, twist over toward the left, through center, and over toward the right. Last round on your own. Come back through center. Sweep the arms up and overhead. And this time you're gonna find that encircling of your left ankle. Tuck the right toes. Lift the right knee up off the ground and find your balance here. Likely noticing a difference from one side to the next. And then sweep the arms up and overhead. Press into the feet. Move nice and slow to find your balance. And then reframe that left foot, plant the right palm as the left arm floats up to the sky. Reframe that front foot. And step back into plank pose. 3 breaths here. Lower the knees down to the mat, untuck the toes. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. And then bring the toes together, knees apart. Find a child's pose. We'll be here for 5 rounds of breath. Allow yourself to release into this pose. And press into the palms. Tuck the toes, find yourself in downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment here to move in any way your body is calling for. And if it's not calling for movement, feel free to stay in stillness. And then find some stillness if you haven't already. Track the heels down toward the ground. Long, straight back, press into the palms. And then take tiny steps to find yourself at the top of the mat. We'll take a few rounds of Sun A. So find your forward fold here. Inhale to halfway lift, fingertips come to top of shins. Exhale to release. Inhale the arms out to the side, up and overhead, gaze can follow. And exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, arms out and up. And exhale to hinge at the hips as you fold forward, plant the hands, and step back into plank pose. Always feel free to drop to your knees in plank pose. Otherwise, we'll be here for 3 more rounds of breath. Strong through the core. And then drop your knees, chest and chin. Float forward into baby cobra. And exhale back into downward facing dog. We'll take 2 more rounds of Sun A. Step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward. Sweep the arms out to the side, root to rise. And exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale as you hinge at the hips, fold forward, step back into plank pose. Holding here for 3 rounds of breath. And then your vinyasa, your choice of vinyasa here will meet back in downward facing dog. Take 1 more round. Step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward. Sweep the arms out to the side and up. And exhale, hands at heart center. Inhale the arms out and up. Hinge at the hips. Plant the palms, step back into plank pose, 3 full rounds of breath. And then your vinyasa. Meeting back in downward facing dog. This time send the belly toward the thighs, really bending the knees, finding yourself in a pumped position. And then jump to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward. Sweep the arms out to the side and up. And exhale, hands to heart center. And then hands down by the side. Take the feet as wide as your mat. And then toes out, heels in. Bend through the knees, cactus the arms, goddess pose. Take a few pulses here, engaging through the thighs and the glutes. And noticing if the hips are any more open than they were at the beginning of class. Come to stillness and see if you can sink just a little bit deeper. And then sweep the arms out to the side, coming into a T. We'll just take some movements from side to side, reaching all the way over to one side, and coming back through center, reaching all the way over to the other. Staying strong through the legs. I can feel my legs really working here. We won't be here for too much longer. Come back through center. One more breath. And then straighten through the legs. Arms up overhead. And exhale the arms down by the side. Bring the toes to face forward and bring them back in to hips with distance apart. And slowly bring the hands to the hips. Just hinge at the hips, folding forward, bend the knees. If you need to, bend the fingertips on the mat. Head hangs heavy here. And inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Sweep the arms out to the sky, up and overhead. Bring the hands to heart center. Hands down by the side. Okay, we're gonna get back into goddess again. So bring the feet to mats with distance apart. Toes out, heels in. And bend the knees deeply. Bring the arms out to cactus. So just feel the strength in your legs here first. And then we're gonna take a twist over toward the right. Back through center and twist it over toward the left. Taking these kind of fluid motions at your own pace. Just focusing on the upper half of the body, even though the lower half of the body is really working here. Take one more twist to each side. Strong through the legs, you can do it. Back to center. Straighten through the legs, arms up overhead. And then bring the feet back in to hips with distance apart. Hinge at the hips to fold forward. Step back into plank pose. And lower down into child's pose. Press into the palms, find yourself back in downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back up behind you. And exhale to step it through in between the hands. Find that low lunge for just a second. And then rise all the way up into high lunge. So always options. You can stay in high lunge with your toes tucked, heel off the ground. This is a little more balancy. If it feels too wobbly, you can come into warrior one, which is just dropping your heel, back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Either way, the hips are gonna face as forward as you can. Arms up overhead, bend through the right leg, and then sweep the arms out to a T. And so we're gonna just move from side to side. So you'll hinge at the hips, and then you'll twist over toward the right as you tap the inside of the right ankle. And then come back through center, still hinged at the hips, and bend over toward the left, tap the outside of the right ankle. So moving from side to side, getting really strong through those legs. Keep a nice bend through the right knee and a long back as you hinge at the hips. And if you wobble, it's okay. It's all a practice. Finish the round you're on, and then take one more tap as you twist over toward the right and over toward the left. And come back through center. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Reframe that front foot and drop the back left knee. Plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to reframe. And then come up on the left fingertips. And you can find that twist again over toward the right. Stay here, or you can bend through the left leg, reaching back for the left foot. See if you can sink a little bit more into that left hip flexor, opening it up. And then if you have the foot, release it. Everyone will meet back in this supported low lunge with the left knee on the mat. And press back into downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. Inhale the left leg up and back. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Find that low lunge. Set yourself up. And then slowly rise up into your high lunge. Once again, stay in this high lunge, or you can drop the back foot into warrior one. Just make sure that your hips are pointed forward. And then sweep the arms out to the side, bend through the left leg, and hinge at the hips. We'll take those twists from side to side. So twist over toward the left, tap the inside of the left ankle, and back through center. Over to the right. Moving at your own pace. Really rooting down into the foot and toes to stay somewhat stable here. Take one more tap. Finish the round you're on. Take one more tap from side to side. And then come back to center. Sweep the arms up and overhead. And exhale to reframe the front foot. Lower the back right knee. And find that gentle twist here. Left arm floats up to the sky. Reframe the front foot. And come up onto the right fingertips. And you can find that twist again, or if it's calling to you, you can bend through the right foot and grab the top of the right foot. Wherever you are, allow yourself to settle in a little bit. Feel that stretch in the right hip flexor. If you have the foot, let it go. Everyone will meet back with the hands framing the left foot. And step back into your downward facing dog. Pedal it out here. And if a vinyasa is calling to you, flow through a vinyasa. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back behind you. And exhale to step it through in between your hands. Slowly rise up into high lunge. And then open yourself up into warrior two. So the left toes are at a 90-degree angle. Left foot's at a 90-degree angle. Arms are wide, right knee is bent. Gaze over those front fingertips if it feels okay. And then see if you can center yourself over your body rather than leaning all the way forward. Center it out. And then bend the right arm, send the left arm up and overhead. And exhale to reverse your warrior. Keep that front leg bent. Flowing forward and reversing back. Take two more. And we'll meet back in warrior two. Then flip the right palm up. I'm gonna recenter myself here. And send the left arm up and over as you find sort of a crescent shape in the right side of the body. So as you're holding a big beach ball out in front of you, keep that right knee bent. We'll be here for 5 rounds of breath, getting strong in the core. And then take that whole beach ball, bring it up and overhead. Re-extend the arms, gaze out to the front. And then cartwheel the arms down, untucking the left heel, and find that gentle twist. Right arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to release. Find yourself back in a downward facing dog, and if you'd like a vinyasa, take a vinyasa. Coming back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back behind you, and exhale to step it through in between your hands. Slowly rising up to that high lunge. And then opening up to warrior two. So the right toes this time are at 90 degrees. The left knee is bent. Bend a little bit more through that left knee. Gaze over the front fingertips. Find the strength in your legs. And then we'll take some flows here. Bend the left elbow. Right arm comes up and overhead. And exhale to reverse. Flow forward, side angle. And exhale to reverse. Take 2 more of these, and we'll meet back in warrior two. Rebend through that left leg. Center yourself over your body, and then flip the left palm up. Right arm comes up and overhead. Find that beach ball out in front. Get nice and strong through the core. Then take that beach ball, come up and overhead, back into warrior two, and then cartwheel down, reframing the front foot, releasing the back heel, gentle twist. Reframe that front foot, step back into downward facing dog. Last optional vinyasa here. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And once you're in downward facing dog, inhale the right leg back up behind you, and exhale to step it to the outside of the right hand. And then bring the left leg to the outside of the left hand, finding yourself in Ardha Malasana. So hips are nice and high, fingertips on the ground, knees are bent. And then hug the heels in, toes out. And if you'd like to sink lower for full Malasana, do that, bringing hands to heart center. And then slowly lower down all the way to the mat and bring the soles of the feet together. Sit up nice and tall and bring the arms up and overhead. Hinge at the hips as you fold forward. Keep the sits bones rooted on the ground and allow the knees to splay wide open. Head can hang heavy here. We'll take 2 more breaths here. See if you can soften anywhere through the body. And then round the spine, rising back up. Head rises last. Keep the right leg where it is and bring the left knee up to face the ceiling. And then bring, if you can, bend that left leg behind you. So you have the right toes facing forward, the left toes are flexed. We're sort of in this mermaid pose here. Arms can come out to the side. And then inhale the arms up overhead, twist over toward the right. Bring the left hand to the right knee. And see if you can keep the hips tracking down toward the mat, even if they're not touching. Inhale back through center and twist over the other way. So the right hand is close to the right knee or on the left thigh. And then back through center. And slowly begin to bring that left leg back up so the sole of the foot is on the ground. And then bring the right leg up to meet it. Maybe give the hips or the knees a rock from side to side. And we'll just take that position the opposite way. So the left leg, I'm mirroring you, will come down to the ground. And the right leg will sweep back behind you. Reposition yourself. And then really flex through those right toes. Arms can come out the side of you, sitting up nice and tall. And then sweep the arms up and overhead and twist over toward the left. So more of your weight is likely on your left sits bones, and that's totally natural and normal. See if you can track the right side of the body a little more down toward the mat, just so you get a little bit extra stretch there. And then inhale the arms up and overhead, and exhale over to the other side. Back up through center. And then bring both knees, both soles of the feet back to the ground, knees face the ceiling. And just get nice and long through the spine here. Crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. And then find yourself on your back. You can bring the heels in a little bit closer to the body. Hug the shoulder blades underneath. And as you inhale, press into the feet and rise up into a bridge. Exhale, slowly lower down. And then cross the right thigh over the left thigh. Draw the knees into the chest. And if it's available to you, you can reach for the outer edges of the feet. This will give you a really nice stretch in the outer glute, which we definitely worked today. Bring the knees just a little closer to the chest if you can. And then release it back down to the ground, uncrossing the legs. And we'll take one more bridge here. Inhale up. And exhale to lower. Cross the left thigh over the right. And draw the knees into the chest. And maybe reach for the outer edges of the feet. Or you can reach for the ankles or shins, kind of pulling the legs to either side of the room. Feeling this in your left glute. Hug the knees just a little closer into the chest. And then release it out. You can draw both knees into the chest, taking any final movement or shape that's calling to you. And when you're ready, you can release yourself all the way down into Shavasana, legs nice and long toward the bottom of the mat, and arms wide. Gently hug the shoulder blades in toward one another and allow the eyes to close. Unfurrow the brows. Unhinge the jaw. And release any tension from the neck. Feel the shoulders release into the mat. And the belly becomes soft. And the feet splay out to either side. We'll stay here for a couple of minutes. So allow yourself to release and relax. Knowing that you did your best during this practice. But sometimes these slow movements do not mean easy. They actually mean we need to tap into our strength a little bit more. Build up our resilience. And have a little bit more love for our bodies. Bring some awareness back to your breath. And sweep the arms up and overhead, feet long toward the bottom of the mat. Take a nice stretch. And take any other movements. When you're ready, roll over to one side. Take a moment in fetal position. And when you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position with eyes closed and hands at heart center. Thank you so much for joining this morning and tapping into your strength. Namaste.